Ahí ves, Fede. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, nobody's there. I don't know if someone can see me. Okay, estamos solos. Okay, no lo veo, pero okay, let's gonna start with that. Because anyway, I can't, for any reason, I'm still trying to figure out how to work with this YouTube presentation. But today is the first presentation that we're gonna do in English to everybody. So basically, we're gonna talk for Asians. How is the market? Because it's very important for us as realtors to know exactly how the market is. You know, so let's gonna talk about the market in April, May, 2026. what opportunity that we have as agents, and what opportunity can we offer to our potential customers, and that's very important. It's gonna go to the second to the second trend, and and we're gonna see here that the prices, even though we see that some of them are lower in the price, especially in rentals, in the long term they continue to be raising and raising. So that's great for the investors, because that's what they are looking for. They're looking for some earnings in rentals, but also they are looking for earnings in value of the property. They bought the property for 300,000. Okay, how much is going to be in 5 years? And normally it increased about a 4% per year. So that's historical. It's the last 100 years. That's what was happening. Okay, so we see that the market is still strong. Not that it was before, that was extremely strong, but we keep selling, and we can see that in reports from the MLS, from the associations. We can see that, of course, there are areas that are much better, so the high end areas didn't have any problem. They continue moving a lot. The middle ones are so, and the lower ones, are the ones that are receiving the most lowering in price, but they're going to increase sooner or later. They're going to increase. So uh, the good thing is that there is a trend in price that it keeps growing. Even 1 month ago a little bit more, 1 month ago a little bit higher. But in the long term, we see that the prices keep going up, and that's great. Now let's gonna see, okay, about the inventory, and that's why we speak that we are on a buyer's market. What does it mean? Buyer's market means that there are more people selling than buying. So we see that the inventory that we check on the MLS, for condos, single homes, basically in the whole thing, we can see that the inventory is rising. And we can see, for example, that in 2024 there was around 4,900. In around 2025 it went up to 5,100. And we can see right now in 2026, on the first quarter, we can see 5,400 of inventory. So what does it mean that you are in a buyer's market? Well, the thing in a buyer's market is two things. First of all, we as buyers, as buyer agents, we're going to have more competition. So sometimes we go and we put an offer on a property, and they tell us, you know what, we already have two offers or one offer or whatever, So we really need to talk with our customer, to say, listen, potential buyer, they told me that they already have one or two offers. Do you want to put it a little bit higher, or I ask them to counter offer. Normally it's what we do, to counter offer, but a lot of times they just tell everybody, send your best and highest offer, and that's just like a bit. But normally the thing is that the prices, that were sold are lower than the listing prices. So in the market prices, you're going to see a lot those things, because the sellers are willing to negotiate the prices, and that's why they have to lower the price or give concessions, or whatever it is. But this is what happens. Now we can see here, okay, that also the days on the market are longer, and that's not good, because that making it slowly makes that we have more inventory, because listings keep coming. But if we have more time, on the market, keep adding and adding and adding, and that is making the buyer's market more even longer. That is not bad, especially for the buyers. That's not bad. But we as realtors need to negotiate much more, need to find the best properties for our customers. So we see that the home's taking longer. Okay, what matters here for us? Okay, marketing matters. This is very, very important, because marketing is everything. Market is when you wake up in the morning and you dress up, you're doing marketing. How do I want to look, you know, to the other people? If I put a tie, it look different. If I put sneakers, it look different. I mean, depending on how you dress, is the marketing you are doing. Well, in properties, is the same thing. I need to advertise that and let everybody know that I'm selling that property. I want this property to be out of the whole market. I want them to be motivated to show my property, because the more people that I show the property, the more possibilities that I have to sell it and for the higher price. And that's what we do for our customers. We try to sell it for the highest price and the lowest time, because the shortest the time is better for them and better for us. Remember, we only collect if we close and when we close. Okay? So basically, this is very important, because you can see that in 2024, the average was 40 days, 45, okay? And right now, it's almost 90 days, the average. That means there are properties that maybe are 200, 300, that that is a normal thing, and that's not good, but that's a normal thing on the MLS. You can check it out over there, okay? So marketing is extremely important. Remember, put that in your mind. We as realtors need to do marketing. The more we do, the more people is gonna take a look at our property. So basically, in a buyer's market, you know, we can see that right now, as per April, we have 6.6 month inventory. When it's a seller's market, normally we have 2 or 3, month, no more than that. Right now we have 6 months of inventory. So the only good thing is that the buyer can negotiate, because if he doesn't, for any reason, choose this one, or they don't accept in this one, I have more properties to show. Okay. Now, in these times, is when the smart buyers buy, because sometimes they ask me, when is the best time to buy, and of course, as a joke, we normally say the best time to buy was 5 years ago, but I'm going to tell you, realistic, the best time to buy is when your customer is ready to buy. If he's ready to buy, this is the best moment. Believe me, because he needs to have a steady income, a job that that he has to do it for at least 2 years, in the same line. If he's a mechanic, he has to be a mechanic for the last 2 years. If he's a teacher, he has to be a teacher in the last 2 years. I don't care if he changes, the school where he teaches, but he's always a teacher, so this is the line of job that he has. So if at least he has for 2 years, that is good. He has to have some money, because normally, if it's a first time buyer, we can get some loans for 3 or 3.5%. Those are very, very low, and around today, 630, maybe around this percentage is good. That is not bad. I know sometimes say, oh, but it's very high. But you're renting. If you're renting, really, if your customer is renting, he's paying 100% interest. Believe me, he's paying the mortgage of the landlord, not his mortgage. So what is 637? It's nothing compared to 100%. Okay, so this is a moment for us to help them negotiate the price. Okay, either concession in closing costs, either lowering the price, either whatever they need. This is the moment, to do it. And the good thing is that when it's a buyer's market, the sellers normally they make the necessary repairments, you know, in order to have the property nicer than the other one. Because when you go and see the property, if it's nicer than the other one, you want to put an offer in this one, not in the other one. Maybe they are quite similar, but maybe this one they painted it or they changed one thing, they renovated the kitchen, the bathrooms, whatever it is. So you're gonna buy it, and that's a great thing. Okay, now let's gonna see the opportunities that we as realtors have. Okay, first of all, of course, you can have listings. It's much easier to have listings today because normally when they don't sell that in 90 days, 100 days, or 6 months, that is a normal listing time. Okay, normally they say, oh, the problem is the realtor. No, the problem is not the realtor. A lot of times the problem is the market, that keep changing, and now, if we didn't do marketing, yes, it was our problem. But if you did, marketing, you show the property. I wasn't sold. Sometimes it's a matter of luck, or the price. But let's gonna think that you put a market price. Okay, let's gonna think that this is the real price, in this building, in this area, wherever. Okay, my my advice is that if you didn't sell it and you have it in a market price, put it lower. Talk with your customer, the one who want to sell the property, and tell, listen, we're in a market that is difficult. This is tough. We're in a buyer's market. They're trying to negotiate. They're trying to that. And that's not bad. But I believe that if we put a lower price, even though that I know that you wanted to have that price, that was the market price, but if it's not selling, it's not even the market price because we check the market price according to what it was sold. And sometimes we go to a building and we check, and we only have one unit sold in the last 120, 180 days, or two units. So this is not really a market price, because normally you need to have in a building that most of them have 300, 400 units. Normally you can have five, four, six selling every month. But if you have one or two in 6 months, that means that, okay, they sold it and it's good, to have a, um, a price. But the truth is that this is not the market price. If you're not selling, this is not a market price. And believe me, every property in every moment of every recession or whatever we have was sold. That depends on the price. So it's not market problem. Sometimes it's a problem of the price. Who is the one who can decide that? Only the owner. But we as realtors are the ones who needs to show them the problem that maybe in this building, even though that in all the automatic machines says that this is a market price because one unit was sold similar to his or hers, and or two units in the last 120, 150 days was sold. This is not the market price because we keep showing it and we're not selling. So something is happening. Believe me, it's price. Of course, you need to see if the property is nice inside or too original. Maybe have 60 years, without even one renovation, the kitchen, one renovation in the bathrooms. There are things that people are looking for in the first view. They're gonna see the kitchen and the bathrooms, you know. And if they are too old, well, maybe this is a problem. Maybe we need to talk with the owner and say, listen, maybe we can try to do that thing. Okay, now it's negotiation. We need to try to be much better in negotiation. Be pushy. Be really professional in being pushy because um, if they are asking for 300 and the market price, imagine that is really 300, but you saw other properties, they're more updated for any reason, or they have something that is more advantage than our unit, either higher floor, either lower, depending on what our customer and the sellers market in that area want, you know. Um, we need to negotiate and explain why this buying price from our customer, that is the buyer, should be the correct price. But be fair, be fair, but they need to sell, we need to buy. We need to make it happen for our customers, you know. And very, very important is follow up. That normally in other trainings we talk about follow up with CRM, those things. This follow up is you saw that property, you spoke with XX realtor, okay, and your customer liked it, okay, but for any reason they didn't match the price, they couldn't get in the negotiation, they couldn't get together on the price, and sometimes you call them a week after that, if you first of all try to find another properties, but imagine you keep showing properties, but keep following out, following up for for the properties that you see and your customer like it, okay. Listen, my customer is still willing to buy. Did you talk with the owner? Do you have any good news? No, no, right now. Okay, okay. If for any reason you couldn't find the property for your customer, call them the second week, make it happen, follow up. Or say, listen, is there any way? Let's gonna try to think out of the box to see what can we do to you need to sell, I need to buy, so I need to help my customer, you need to help your customer. Let's gonna make it happen. We're both together in that, so that's very important. So really with this presentation, what we need to understand is that we need to do a little bit more effort, because the market price that we are used to, that is prices on sold properties, is just a reference. If in a building you only saw that, imagine 2 bedrooms or 1 bedroom, okay, there were only sold one in the last 6 months, the last 120, I'm sorry, or 120 days, 4 months, okay, the prices are not the really market prices at that moment. They need to lower, or you need to make them lower. But how? Explaining how the market is and what we need to do. So basically, this is the end of the presentation. Basically, this is the first one that we are doing in English, because a lot of people call me regarding that. So I hope that you liked the presentation and subscribe to our channel, because every Tuesday we're hoping to have this kind of trainings for agents, you know, that normally are gonna help everybody. Because I learn when when I teach, and when I'm in meetings and everybody speaks, I learn a lot, and I believe everybody learns from everybody. So those are a good thing. If someone has a question regarding that presentation, this is the moment to make in the chat. If not, we're gonna see next Tuesday. Okay, so let's gonna see next Tuesday, and have a great week.